I used to love the water. Me and my mum and my dad, we always went on the water on holiday. Oh yeah, we'd go down to Ramsgate or Margate or sometimes even Dover. Maybe even take on a little cruise on one of those packet steamers. Have some cockles and mussels, ice cream, fish and chips. Oh, and the sea wind blowing across. My dad used to always take big breaths. Smell that river, smell that sea air, he'd say. Always makes you more hungry than normal. Why is that exactly? I don't know, but I used to love it. And then, when I was about 12 or 13, far too old to be going on family holidays anyway, I remember a couple of years in a row, we went on the Medway Queen. It was a beauty. I reckon probably only just built, white and cream and shining in the sun. Any time we were on the Medway Queen, you knew everything was going to be all right. I loved the water. Until Dunkirk. See, in 1939, Britain had declared war on Germany because the Nazis and Adolf Hitler had invaded Poland. Well, first few months of that war was called the Phony War because by April 1940 nothing much had happened. We hadn't engaged the enemy and the British Expeditionary Force was just deploying itself in France and waiting. Nothing happened. But we reckoned if it did, it'd take a long time to get going and a long time to be over. And we were wrong about that, weren't we, me and the boys, eh? On May the 10th, 1940, the Germans started the Blitzkrieg. It means lightning war, and it's as frightening as it sounds. It's fast, destructive, and effective. By May the 15th, only 5 days later, the French Defence Forces were completely overwhelmed. And a week after that, we were totally surrounded. The German tanks, the Panzer divisions, had managed to make their way through the Ardennes forest despite the fact that nobody thought they could do that. Well, nobody told the Germans, did they? And now we were outnumbered, outmanned and outgunned. There was nothing for it but to retreat, to go back toward a tiny seaside town of Dunkirk. Now, me and a few of the boys, we were cut off, right? And we could try to get through the roads as best as we wanted, but it was absolutely packed, crammed with people, refugees running away from the Germans, the French, and not just them, but people coming in from other countries as well, like Belgium. I remember we were near a tiny village, way off the beaten track. My sergeant says to me, "Right, there's only about 20 houses here, one tiny street, but each one of those houses could be full of Germans. So what we're going to do is protect each other. We're going to move down the street in pairs like a relay. One of you fires and the other watches out. Take your guns, protect each other and move." Well, that's a good plan, that. Small problem now, Sarge. Got no ammo. We're completely out of bullets. Totally out. All right then. What have we got? Well, we had a look in a few of our bags. We got some grenades, didn't we? Yeah, that's it. All right then, lads, I got a new plan. Technically, it's the same as the old plan. What you're going to do is take one grenade each, reach into the bag and take one, and then, when you're going to run down the street, spread out so you don't present a target to the enemy, and pick a window. Decide now. Look at those houses, pick one window each, and throw a grenade in. Make sure to make a lot of noise, run down the street, shout, wave your arms, and throw your grenades. Don't stop shouting, and don't stop running until you get to the drainage ditch at the far end of that road. We might be able to take a few of the enemy with us. Hopefully we'll be okay, but mostly we'll make so much noise that those refugees on the main road will be protected and the main forces of the enemy won't get them. All right? I'm up for this if you are. Sounds a bit crazy. I used to go door knocking when I was a kid, running down the street, knocking on a door and then running away again. It sounds like the same thing, but with grenades. Okay, are we ready? Ready, steady, go. We ran, we waved our arms, we shouted, we made noise, and we picked a window and threw a grenade. My mate Raymond is shouting so much he starts laughing, and then we're all laughing and running around, skipping around, trying to dodge, running in zigzags, throwing grenades, running apart. We all make it to the drainage ditch together. Everyone lives. Not one shot had fired out of a single window because there were no Germans in any of the houses. Which is probably good, really, because none of the grenades went off at all. No, we'd forgotten to prime them before we threw them. So all we'd done was make a great deal of noise and smash a great deal of windows. Very funny. We were quite relieved. And sort of relieved when we got to Dunkirk. I'd never seen anything like it. So many soldiers and people. 400,000 just on the beaches, waiting to be rescued. I was expecting chaos. I was expecting a total breakdown of discipline, fighting, looting, killing. No. There was order. Not only had the troops kept their discipline, but all of them were waiting in lines. Lines of hundreds and thousands of soldiers lining that beach, going right down from the main part of the beach, down the shore and into the water. There were some soldiers up to their neck in the sea. I spoke to a couple who'd been there for 3 days. No sleep, no food, no water, just waiting for their turn. Right, well, I thought, we're going to be here for a while. I want to get some food. I had a bit of a look about, but there wasn't much. I managed to find an old truck, and inside, would you believe it, huge supplies of chocolate and cigarettes. Now, I don't smoke, but I loaded up my pockets. I filled every available pocket on my uniform and in my bags that I could with chocolate and cigarettes, and then when I went out on the beach to join the queues, I passed them down the line, didn't I? Handing out the chocolates, handing out the cigarettes. Turned to another friend of mine, Brian. He's handing out something else. What you got, Brian? What's that? Over there, sir, it's paper. Paper? What kind of paper? Writing paper. It's very good, very thick, very expensive stuff. I found all cupboard full of it. I'm handing it out. What are you handing out paper for? We'll wait until we rescue, not writing letters home. There's no posties on the beach, is there? We know that. I'm not stupid. Clear and easy you are, though. It's paper. It's very thick. Very expensive. It's very soft. It's very absorbent. You might want that if you get a bit scared. All right, yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, very good idea. Toilet paper. You don't want to be stuck in an emergency without toilet paper, do you? All right then, Brian, hand it over. I'll have a few sheets. And I did. I was going to be scared. I knew over the next few days, just standing on that beach and waiting because it wasn't quiet. The German Air Force, the Luftwaffe, they were bombing us the entire time. Whenever a plane came down, all the soldiers in the line had to lie down on the beach and hope you didn't get hit. It was absolutely terrifying. And then when the boats turned up, many of the big ones were too far away from the beach. They had to send lifeboats in. They couldn't get to the shore. But I remember on that day that I first saw the boats, it took my breath away. Because they weren't just destroyers, were they? Or transports. They were fishing boats and little sailing boats and pleasure craft. It seemed that every single privately owned boat on the south coast of Britain had come to get us. The rescue at Dunkirk, ordered by Winston Churchill, known as Operation Dynamo, was using civilian ships who were risking their lives to sail across 60 miles of open water from Britain to Dunkirk to come here to save us all, or at least do their best. Unbelievable. I remember thinking back to my holidays. I remember thinking back to sailing on the bright white and cream Medway Queen. When it was my turn, we were picked up from the pier known as the Mole. I had arrived on that beach on the 28th of May, 1940. I didn't leave until the 1st of June. The boat that came to get us was a very long, ugly, low thing. A minesweeper. Had a few anti-aircraft guns on it and a cannon as well. We were absolutely packed, jam-packed all along the deck, shoulder to shoulder, standing room only. I was so relieved when I got on board. I remember I saluted one of the lieutenants. Thank you, I said. Thank you for having us. Welcome, he said. Welcome aboard the Medway Queen. You what? A Medway Queen? Yes, HMS Medway Queen, actually. What? Hey, that's a pleasure boat. That's a package steamer. We used to go on that when I was a kid. Yes, that's us. We were refitted in 1940. Acquired by the Navy and refitted and painted grey and made into a minesweeper. We've been looking after the coast of Blighty until recently. We were needed for Operation Dynamo, so we've come to pick you all up. I couldn't believe it. This boat was my holidays. It was like Mum and Dad and my family had come to get me and bring me home. As we sailed away, there was no way we were out of the woods yet. I remember being so relieved to eventually leave, but A German plane came down and started to bomb the beach. All of the soldiers on the boat scattered to either side. The captain had to make an announcement over the speakers to get us all to stay in the same place or the boat would tip over. We finally started to make our trip back toward Britain as night fell, but then the Straits of Dover, the sea was really calm, and the wheels that was pushing the boat forward, you see, powered by the engines, the wheels going round and round and round and round, this little paddle steamer, it was churning up the water. Our wake, which is that water, the pattern that goes behind the boats, it was really visible from above. And we went through a patch of phosphorescence, little tiny creatures that live in the water that glow in the dark. Now, we had a great big glow in the dark line behind the boat, like a big arrow pointing right at us, just for the German bombers. Luckily, Lieutenant Graves, the captain of the boat, manages to get some bags, some canvas bags. He soaks them in oil and he throws them outside the boat, and they float on the water over the top of the glow, masking our presence. We were really happy about that until the chimney caught fire. Yeah, all the soot that has been used and the many, many trips this boat has already made over the days of Operation Dynamo, but it burst into flame, didn't it? Set fire to it. So now, instead of a trail, we got a flare. Luckily, we're surrounded by water, aren't we? And we're wearing our own buckets. Many of us took off our helmets, dipped them in the sea and then passed them along, and the crew of the boat dumped the water right down the chimney. The engineer wasn't too happy. He was at the bottom of it and got absolutely soaked. I can't really tell you exactly what he said, but take my word for it, he wasn't happy. But we were, to get back. And when we got back to Britain, we were welcomed. Like heroes. There were people throwing food and bread. Like we'd achieved a great victory. Well, I suppose it was. Organised. Disciplined. No mass panic. No breakdown of law and order. Instead, we stood in lines on a beach. We did the most British thing of all in the face of disaster and formed a queue. Winston Churchill made his speech not long after the evacuation was over. You know the one. We shall fight them in the hills. We shall fight them on the beaches. And we shall never, ever surrender. And that was good. But for me, it wasn't the best bit. The best bit was being on the Medway Queen. The best bit was knowing that even in my time of most direst need, if you were on the Medway Queen, everything was all right. Because the people who lived in Britain had come to help. They knew what was expected of them. They had been told properly. They knew what they were risking, far more than us in some circumstances. They were risking their livelihoods as well as their lives. They came out and put it all on the line. In the face of disaster, to triumph over evil, they were as equals, all of them facing it together. Thank you very much for watching this Histrionics History at Home video, a world of histrionics, incredible tales from before to now. If you have been interested by our video today detailing the events of the Dunkirk evacuation or Operation Dynamo, you can research it by going on the internet and having a look. Make sure though, if you're not old enough, you do have a grown-up with you. And of course, it is the 80th anniversary this year of the evacuation. Thank you very much for listening. Make sure to click like, subscribe and share, and look out for other histrionics videos. Take care of each other and stay safe.